welcome to the Sidewalk CEO podcast, a podcast for small business owners by small business owners. Each week, the Sidewalk CEO speaks with Frankfort area business owners about their journeys, sharing insights and firsthand experiences that can help fuel your path to success. Here are your hosts, Sherry Donahue, CEO and Chief Cybersecurity Evangelist of Commonwealth Sentinel Cybersecurity, and Leo Haggerty, founder of TCHQ Communications.
And I am Leo Haggerty from TCHQ Communications, along with my partner in crime,
Sherry Donahue from Commonwealth Sentinel Cybersecurity.
Sherry. We're into double-digit episodes now.
I know, a dozen.
It's kind of scary.
It's exciting.
Yeah.
We're like legit.
Yeah. You know, most podcasts actually end before their 10th episode. So we've
survived. We can coast now, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. So we're phoning this one in, folks. Just kidding. Welcome to the Sidewalk CEO. So what we do each week is we talk with business people in the Franklin County area, find out about how they got into business, how their business is going, what plans they might have for the future.
What challenges.
And maybe some advice for some folks out there who might be thinking about getting into business themselves. And today our guest is actually, I guess a triple threat. We've had double threats before, might be our triple threat.
That was me.
She's really leaning into the whole threat thing.
You had it plugged in where I could get it.
She's the first guest that we've had to
turn out the lights. Okay. Let there be light, Leo.
We're back in business.
So we will be editing that part.
Actually, I think that might be the best part.
I know.
The gasp was real.
It was for real. And perfectly timed to the threat.
Okay, so that, folks, was the light getting kicked out by our guest, who is Erika Hancock, who is our local State Farm agent as well as our local state representative. And we won't really be getting into the state representative part of it today, but we're going to talk about insurance and a little bit of her side hustle, because everybody's got to have a side hustle these days. Mm-hmm. Erika, thank you for joining us. Why don't you start by telling us a little bit about how you ended up in Frankfort and how you ended up with State Farm?
Oh, thanks, Leo. I did grow up in Northern Kentucky, which you all know, but most people don't. My husband, Jeff Hancock, and I met in college. We were college sweethearts, and he is from here. So I followed my heart, like a lot of folks do. I followed my heart here to Frankfort. I graduated. Shortly after graduation, I got into the Yellow Page ad sales.
Oh, really?
Talk about a dated profession.
Yeah. I mean, kids today probably have no idea what a Yellow Page is.
Yeah, there's that meme. There's that where they ask the kids what Yellow Pages are. You should ask, I've asked them. They don't even know what they are anymore. So
they don't know how to use a rotary phone.
No. So I'm lucky I got out of that gig. But I was selling Yellow Page advertisements through the Berry Company out of Louisville. And had been doing that about 6 or 7 months, went through their training, and the agent that was here in town, Sally Hill Stumbo, had approached me actually at my brother-in-law's wedding and said, "Hey, I'm going to retire. What do you think?" And I was like, "Heck no. I just graduated, just getting married. I do not want to start my own business." Shortly after, I talked to several folks, especially my husband, and was like, "Look, this is a great opportunity." And I got over the initial shock of being 22, almost 23 years old and starting a business because that was scary. You know, I'm probably one of the youngest State Farm agents ever hired.
What was your major in college?
It was integrated strategic communications, but I'd always been in sales. I had always done sales. Like I worked retail in high school. I just had sales has always been something I enjoy doing.
Okay.
I actually quit my job at the Berry Company right after I was about to get a really huge raise doing outside sales, and went and worked for Sally Hill while I applied for the position. It was a very rigorous application process. I had to do several interviews. Actually, one of the interviews, Jeff got to go with me. They required the spouse to go with me.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Do they still do that?
You know, I don't know if they do that part, but I have sat as an agent on the panel that they have an agent panel with several other CEOs that basically like 7 of them in a room, and you're at the end of the table and they're shooting questions at you in the interview. I have been one of the agents on those panels, which is actually kind of cool.
Well, not to call you old or anything, but is it because they wanted to get the husband's approval that the little lady could go out and have a job?
I'm not so sure that might not have been it. And actually one of the questions was like, what are you going to do if she starts making more money than you? That was the question they asked you after the interview. Yes, it was.
That's the very dated. Yeah,
it was. Yeah. I think it's definitely
And did
changed.
he say buy a boat and put his feet up and enjoy?
Which is exactly what he does. Oddly enough, yes. He put that out there. But no, he once I got hired, I was it was just I went through a year's worth of what they call trainee agent training. They teach you all the things. We'd go down to Murfreesboro, Tennessee, which is where the headquarters was, once a month. I'd spend a week down there. And while I was doing this, I was also planning a wedding with the Berry Company. But then I did this. So, I mean, it was a very crazy couple years. I went from graduating college, training, married, to owning my own business within like 18 months.
That's a lot.
So would it be a fair analogy to say that it's kind of like a franchise, kind of like McDonald's? You own your own business, but yet you're part of a larger entity as well.
That is exactly right. I think some insurance companies, you own the book of business. With State Farm, we don't. So if something were to happen to me or I decided to retire, that's it. I'm responsible for my own retirement. I'm responsible for everything else. So I am incorporated. I'm actually Erika Hancock Insurance Agency, Inc. For tax purposes, but
we call her Inc. for short.
Yeah. And so, yeah, I mean, it is. But State Farm's a great company. I mean, and that's why I think it is so rigorous to actually become a State Farm agent. It was very hard. If my kids wanted to do it, I don't know if I would encourage it, because I mean, it was hard. It was every month, very strict sales goals, very minimum standards that you had to meet or you were not going to get your contract. And I was a year in, and then I got my contract in January of 2004. And then had a baby 3 months later.
Oh, good Lord, Erika.
I know.
You don't do anything easy, do you?
No, I don't.
Whoa.
So I know Sherry wants me to ask this question, and she's a little embarrassed because, but we all know that State Farm is very closely associated with the Kansas City Chiefs. So I'm assuming that you're going to be going to Travis and Taylor's wedding, and Sherry would like to be your plus one.
Of course. Yay. I'm actually going. I'm actually hoping to be a bridesmaid.
Oh, hello.
Yeah, I'm a huge Swiftie. So.
Oh, me too. Oh my gosh.
And actually, that is my 1 degree of separation. I'm gonna call Patrick up.
Oh boy.
And Travis and wear my uniform. Yeah. So the Mahomes Motto. So.
Mahomes Motto. Yeah, I love that.
It was a good one. It was a good campaign.
Okay, so back to insurance. If somebody wanted to get into insurance today, what would you say to them? I mean, what would be the path that you would recommend?
I definitely think, my situation was fortunate. I knew somebody who was retiring in an agency and a name brand of insurance that I personally think is the best. I mean, we are one of the number one in the state and in the country. It's a great company to work with. But I would say, work under somebody. I actually did work for Shelter when I was in college. I had 3 jobs too. I went to college. I bartended at Daniels, which is now Serafini's. I bartended down there and worked for Timmy Adcock when he was a Shelter insurance agent. And learned some of the ins and outs of insurance there, just to kind of get a feel if it's something you like. I think getting in and as a team member, there's an agent aspirant program with State Farm that they do where you go and work with an agent, and then they train you, and then you go into the agency position. So I think that would be the best place to start, at least with State Farm. I don't know how other companies do it. Some independent, so there's 2 different kinds. I'm a captive agent, which means I only sell State Farm policies. And then we have several independent agencies here in town that can shop several different companies. So they broker 7 different companies like Schnaut Hogue, Sturm Insurance, both do that. So I'm just limited to State Farm. So there's options there too. Insurance is a great gig because of renewals. So once it's not like real estate where you go and you sell a house and that's it. when Jeff was in real estate, we remembered that, you had big months and then you'd go 2 months without. I mean, you're constantly having to fill that coffer. Where insurance, if you service your people and do the back end work, which I think is the most important part of my job, is taking care of the service end aspect of my job. You get to keep the people and take care of them, and you get paid the renewals. So it just kind of builds and renewals and referrals and that type of thing. So
what kind of things are you doing as far as servicing? What are you doing with that relationship in between the renewals?
We set up an offer every year, which is, we've gotten a little bit off of it just because of everything else I've had going on. But where I would set up for I've been doing it 20 some odd years now. Every year we would offer all of our clients what's called a family insurance checkup. It's changed to a IFR, insurance and financial review. It's basically just sitting down with them, going over their coverages, making sure there aren't any gaps in their coverages. I understand a lot of people live on fixed income, especially here in Frankfurt with our state workers and state retirees. Like, they haven't gotten raises. And so I meet with my folks a lot to see how we can keep their premiums affordable for them. I mean, as a matter of fact, right, that's why I was late coming over here, is I was on a phone call with somebody who had only been with us a year, and their homeowners rates have gone up 14%. And that's due to across the state. We've had major storms that have come through, and that affects everybody in the area. But I believe that's my job. I don't even expect my girls to do that. I have those conversations with my people because I want them to know that I get it. I understand. And if they shop me and go someplace else, I will help them kind of navigate what that looks like for them. Because ultimately, I mean, their rates are going to go up someplace else, and I just want them to come back to me. And I think that's the relationships I have with a lot of my customers. I mean, they're my family now at this point. I mean, I've helped people when their loved ones have died and gave them checks because they had life insurance with me, or I've had a house burned down to the ground and I'm able to hand them a check to go find a place to live the night that the house burned down. I mean, there's a lot of great things that you get to do with the service side of it.
So you've been doing this for 20 years, and you've already said, that State Farm has some very high standards. So for doing it for 2 decades, you must be pretty good at it. Would you say that family mentality is what's made you successful?
For me, I definitely think it is. But I mean, I think if anybody goes into business for themselves, their business needs to have their own personality, or it's going to be miserable, right? I mean, who wants to fake being a certain way every single day in and day out? And, I probably don't run my agency as a lot of folks do. Like, I think State Farm and some agents have minimum standards. They kind of with the way I was treated when I first came in, that they're like, you have to do this or you're not going to get your contract. I don't do that. That's not how I run. I treat my girls like they're equal to me, because they are. I mean, they do just as much as I do. And I know that there's not some agents that don't do that. They have these rigorous sales standards, and you've got to meet these things or you're not going to stay in this agency. And they perform sales-wise better than me on paper. But if you look at the amount of work they're putting in for the amount of return they have with policies that they're growing. So let's say, you write 100 policies, but 50 of them are going out the back door because you didn't service them.
Right.
I'm a work smarter, not harder kind of person. So I feel like keeping the people is way more important than adding people.
Plus, it's more quality than quantity with you.
And people trust me. I mean, people, insurance.
It's a big part is the trust.
It is. And it's required. Like, people have to have it. So, I mean, and some people don't want there's all different. We all know this in consumer, with consumers. There's the price shopper. There's the person who wants the relationship. There's the online girl or guy, those kinds of things. So I think knowing what the customers want, but that's the type of agency I wanted, was folks that really want an agent, that trust an agent, that they know that no matter what, I have their best interests at heart.
Right.
And that's how I've built my business.
Well, now, what types of insurance do you offer in your agency?
We we focus on property and casualty. So that's auto, homeowners, renters insurance. We do commercial insurance, boat insurance, RV insurance, motorcycle insurance. I am licensed, which is in escrow now. State Farm got into financial services quite a bit. So I at one point was doing mutual funds, which the fiduciary and legal responsibility behind that was just too much. I wasn't making enough to really focus my efforts on it. I'm mortgage licensed at one point, so I could do mortgages, but I don't really do that much anymore either. We have a partnership with US Bank that I can kind of refer people to. But mostly just property and casualty is where my focus is, and life insurance.
Okay. Now, do you all offer cyber insurance for businesses?
We offer not really cyber insurance for businesses. I think there are some, like for instance, there is an identity theft restoration on your insurance. And I think that's probably true for most homeowners insurance. It's not much. It's like $1,000, but it would help recover if somebody's identity was stolen.
Right.
And I don't do it enough. So I don't know if we do. I'm sure we probably have a specialty product that we can offer our commercial property. I've just not done a whole lot of big commercial property, but it is important. I mean, and it can be devastating to a business.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And then what we're finding too is a lot of the insurance companies that do offer it, they are backing off on it because they were paying so much out. And now the ones that are still doing it, they're requiring a lot of things of the businesses in order to have that policy. And if they make a claim, they're hit with a ransomware attack or something, and they find out that if any of those things that they said they're doing, if they're not doing it, like if they don't have MFA or they're not providing security training or scans, if any of those things are missing, they're not going to pay out.
Well, and that's probably why I haven't done it, because there probably is. I mean, I would guarantee if it's one of our specialty products, the application process is different than a property and casualty, because you got to go in and give all that information on the front end. So I would assume that those protocols would be definitely important. I mean, because if you're not, it's like not wearing your seatbelt in a car wreck, your injuries are going to be more severe. So if you don't protect yourself on the front end.
Well, and I've heard Sherry say, your auto insurance isn't going to pay if you were drunk driving.
Correct. Well, it does pay, but then it cancels you.
Yikes.
So you're exactly right. What you do is very important, especially to corporations.
Right.
So insurance is not your only game in town.
No.
You've got some Airbnbs.
I have one. We do have one. We have several rental properties.
Okay.
It's a lot of work. The house beside us was basically sitting empty for like 2 years. So I chased the guy down one day and I was like, well, would you be interested in selling? More so we have a lot of family out of town. We have a lot of people coming in and out. And so it was a perfect business to get into when we can block off dates that my sister-in-law doesn't have to stay in my house. I hope this doesn't go to Florida. So some of the family you don't want to stay underneath your feet or that kind of thing. So
well, particularly, I mean, what does it say? Visiting family is like fish after 3 days. It kind of, so
yeah. So we
get to see them, but they're not under each other's
and
foot.
they're right next door.
Yeah.
So that was kind of how that came about. And so I think we've been doing it 4 years now, 3 or 4 years. So it has definitely changed over the past couple years.
And we were talking earlier today, and you had said that, because so many other people are in it now, it's not as booming as it once was.
It isn't. And we were probably on the front end of it. We weren't the first ones in town, but we were pretty close to being one of the first that started it. And it was great. I mean, it booked out. The difference is it would book out a year in advance at that point.
Wow.
Now it's not happening. It's more short, bookings 2 or 3 weeks out. And I think that is the saturation of the market. But also I think it's the economic uncertainty that's going on right now. True. I mean, I think people aren't willing to spend $2,000 to $3,000 to go spend a weekend in Frankfort, Kentucky and do the bourbon tours. And I've been talking to some of our partners in the bourbon industry, and, they're saying that's what they're saying, but they're also saying there's an upside, that the people that are still here, they're not selling the quantity, but the quality they're spending more on higher priced bourbon because they're splurging on that bourbon.
Well, and that's what I was hearing as well, is that, they're not selling as much of the T-shirts or the baseball caps, but the high-end bourbon, oh yeah.
So they're not really seeing the hurt as much as we think. But, and I think a lot of these, it's like, when a new fast food comes in town, like Chick-fil-A, and the lines out the back door, and you can't get in for whatever a month, and then all of a sudden now, I think the boom happened. I think it's just you're leveling off. I don't think it's anything bad. I think it's just part of the business cycle.
Sure.
So, but I mean, I'm saying that way, we have met some of the greatest people. I mean, one year we have a huge Thanksgiving. We have about 65 people at the house in Thanksgiving. We have the whole Hancock family at the house.
Wow.
And one year there were these 3 guys calling us asking if anything was open. And I was like, no. So I walked over there with a pitcher of Bloody Marys one morning to do the test to see if they could handle the Hancock Thanksgiving, because it's like there's wine, there's food, there's in-laws and outlaws. It's loud and crazy and we love it. Walked over there with a pitcher of Bloody Marys. I was like, so you guys want some Bloody Marys? And they said, yes. I said, well, what are y'all doing for dinner? And so we had the 3 guys from Colorado in our house at Thanksgiving, and they just fit right in. And then last year we pick up random people that don't have places to go for Thanksgiving, and we just invite them up. So that's been kind of fun. And then we have a couple that comes and stays the whole month of October that we've gotten to know. They come over for dinner. So I have a different Airbnb experience because I'm not just running it like you check in, you check out. I mean, we walk over and check in on them. Houston, I get phone calls all the time how great Houston does being a host. He'll go over and check on them, take them wood over there. I mean, so it's like having a neighbor.
And that's your son.
That's my son,
right.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So that's why I haven't ventured off to doing any more with our other properties. We have one other one, but that's rented year round from a legislator. But the Airbnb that we do, it really has been fun to get to know some people.
Sounds awesome.
And most people are nice and
treated great. That's just perfect with your personality, too.
Yeah, I love it. I do. Yeah.
So one of the things that, since we've been doing this now since, I guess, June, a lot of people have been talking about is the flooding, which you have had a lot to deal with, both as in your capacity with State Farm and as a state legislature. So where are we in terms of recovery, and what do you think folks can expect over the next 6 months to a year?
Well, the sad reality is it is a slow process. It's never fast enough. And that's what's so hard with dealing with flood insurance from my standpoint. As a State Farm agent, if your house burns down, I'll have you a check before the flames are even out. I can write up to a $10,000 check right there on site.
Wow.
We have that ability, which I think is extremely important because most people don't have a plan if something like that happens. That's what we saw with the flood. But some people didn't even know it was just so.
They've lost everything.
And they don't even know where to start. And a lot of times these flood policies are so limited in what they cover too. And they're so expensive. I'm still dealing with people waiting on insurance checks. So 10 years before, State Farm used to underwrite the flood insurance, and then they would upfront the money and then get the money back from the federal program. And State Farm was like, we're not doing that anymore. So this was my first flood after State Farm not underwriting it, and it has been, it's horrific. I mean, I call them and they can't even give me an adjuster's phone number to call. They're like, well, we don't know. And I'm like, what do you mean? I mean, I was like, if I ran my State Farm agency the way that this program has run, and I get it, like it is a federal program. And I understand the need to jump through the hoops to make sure because of fraud. I actually had a fraud case here. On my put my state rep hat on. I had somebody reach out to me that they were displaced from the flood and needed help. And I talked to Eric Gibson from Kentucky Emergency Management. He was like, I'll look into it. I can't believe, anything fell through the cracks. He's fantastic, by the way. We were so lucky to have him managing that for us. But he called me back, and apparently the woman was she was lying that she flooded, and then she was also not telling the truth as to what apartment and couldn't. Now, I don't know the whole backstory. I'm sure there's some reason that she was so desperate that she felt the need to do this. But those cases come up. So these hoops that you have to jump through to get the public assistance, because it starts off individual assistance gets approved and then public assistance will get approved. And then that's where the federal dollars will come in. And I even think our governor has said that it's been great. But when your expectation is getting a check when your house is burning down, and then you go from waiting from that to 6 months.
Oh, wow.
And it's the importance of teaching people. You got to have a savings account. People just, and they don't do that. You need to have at least 3 or 4 months of your income in a savings. I had a woman who took off work because her house had to be, she had to be there to rebuild, and she couldn't file for unemployment because it doesn't qualify because the business was open. So, there's just things that we need to start educating people about saving to make sure that these events, when they do happen, you're not, out in the streets, because that's what we've seen a lot. And it's devastating. And it's very overwhelming. But I think it's moving forward. Back to the point, I do think it's moving forward the way it's supposed to. The buyout program really is a great buyout program. some people, I've actually read something today on Facebook, or, that was mad about it. And I was like, why are you mad about it? Like, well, this is prime property. And it's like, okay, they don't really get the gist of it. I mean, I don't know if you saw, there was a house on Big Eddy that lost their entire backyard. I mean, it was a huge loss. So, I mean, if you buy a piece of property and you think you're buying 2 acres and then one day you wake up and it's less than an acre, that's not prime property. That property does not need a house on it. That property needs to be green space. And what green space will do is help the water have more places to go so the flooding won't be so severe. That's the one thing you can do almost immediately that helps mitigate flooding is have green space. And so there are areas in Frankfort that can't do that. I mean, you can't do that in the South Frankfort area. Those houses have been there forever, but there are areas upriver that we can do that I think will help mitigate future disasters. So.
Now, during the flooding, didn't you help house some people?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We tend to do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
She had called and she was distraught, and we're like, well, just come on up. And we didn't really know them very well, but Burke, their German exchange student, my son had become good friends. So we're like, yeah, we'll just house you. And she's like, well, we have an old dog. I'm like, just bring your old dog. What's fine. And so we kept them there for a while. And that, it's witnessing that firsthand because they hadn't had this type. Well, of course, none of us have had this type of flood since the 70s. So, and we lived on the river too. Like years ago, we lived on Big Eddy and our house down there flooded. And that community down there is so special because you do go through those moments together. I mean, you see yourselves at the worst. And what's sad is a lot of those folks during this flood have moved out. Yeah.
Are they moving away?
They're moving here. They're staying in Frankfort.
Are they? Okay.
But they're moving off the river. I think there's the first 3 houses on Big Eddy are condemned.
Oh, wow.
And one couple lived there for 40 years,
Wow.
And they didn't have any water in the house. It wasn't the water that did it. It was the land. It was the instability of their backyard. Yeah.
Ooh.
So it might be prime real estate because you can see the river. And a lot of times that's what happens. People get there and they cut down the trees so they can see the water.
Right.
And that makes it worse.
It's unstable. Right.
Yeah. So I would say green space is prime real estate these days.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, now, so back to your insurance agency. So you have people that work for you. How many people are on your staff?
I always say with me.
With you. Okay. I'm sorry.
I'm the luckiest girl in the world. And the whole reason I can do all this extra stuff is because I have 2 team members, Carrie Roth and Rachel Clevenger. Both have been with me over 10 years.
10 years. Wow.
I really probably I had a part-time for a period of time who worked with me for over 10 years too. And she retired. Probably need to hire another part-time, which actually last night, I'll have to share this with Houston. It made my heart. Houston's my 18-year-old. Said that because I was like, maybe I'll get a high school intern just during sessions. So I have somebody answering the phones, doing the things that I normally do that I can't do. And Houston said, well, I think I want to do it. And I couldn't act too excited because it'll scare him away and then he won't want to do it.
No sudden movements.
So I might, it's just hard to rock the boat. We have such a good time but it has been hard on me not being in the office. They've definitely picked up a lot of slack.
Well, now similar to when you were interviewing with State Farm and Jeff had to go with you, to make sure that your husband would support that. Did you have a similar conversation with the folks in your office before you ran for state rep?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Okay. I did. I think I can't remember how the conversation. I think I came in and I was like, well, what do you all think about me? And Carrie, I could literally say, I'm going to jump off a bridge and she'd be the first one to help. She's all in.
She'll push you.
She's all in for everything. Rachel's my more, what's this going to look like? Like she's more my realist. And for a while, I think she was probably a little more hesitant because of the workload shift. And I told them both immediately. I was like, if I need to hire somebody, I will. I gave them both raises, significant raises, just to make sure that because they were picking up my slack. But, the thing is, and I had to even get permission from State Farm to do it.
Oh, really? Okay.
Because of what it could affect the business side of it. And one of the things was me being in the office. Well, I mean, there's tons of agents that have been doing it as long as I have that are on the golf course more than I'm at the Capitol. I won't say any names, but that's true. Right. You know, I mean, there are a lot of my male counterparts that I think are on the golf course quite a bit, and you know, which good for them. So
they're on the golf course, and here you are, a state
changing
rep.
the world. That's right.
You know, tomato.
Yeah.
So, particularly when we go to chamber events, one of the recurring themes we hear from business owners is how hard it is to hire good people and keep them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there are good people out there, but they always seem to be looking for that next great adventure. You've got two that have been with you for over a decade. What is the secret to keeping good people? At least, what is Erika's secret?
Treating people nice. I mean, it's not hard. You know, it is a challenge here in Frankfort, at least for a long time when state government was where everybody worked, which I think is changing with the way things are going and the way they've been treated over the past several decades here. When I first started, that was the biggest challenge. I had a woman that had been with Sally for a while, and she stayed with me. She ended up going to the state. And I lost a couple that way. But as it's kind of evolved over the last couple years, you know, I don't keep vacation time. I don't keep, are you there on time? It's a team effort. Mm-hmm. And I think that's probably why I've been so successful. I actually had taken a leadership class years ago. Richard Parrott, I think was his name. And one of the things that he talked about being a leader was not going native, meaning don't become friends with them. And I remember thinking in that, okay, you're right. You're the boss, right? You got to be the boss if you want to keep your agency running the way you have. And I guess that's probably true for people who have strict sales goals and all the things that go with the way that they've decided to run their business model. I'm not going to do that. It's just not in my personality. And I've been successful at it. I mean, again, there are things like I don't go on the trip State Farm every year. I don't play that type of game, but my people, I know them. I see them at Kroger. I have one of my favorite insureds comes running in. She's mentally handicapped, has a lot of, she's disabled, but she came in and I thought she was going to cry when I went in. Her thing was, she said to me, you treat everybody the same. And I was like, oh, yeah. I mean, I think that's I just treat them the way I would want to be treated if I was working for somebody, you know? And really we've always gotten along really well. They're my family. I mean, I think that's and you know, my father-in-law ran his business that way as well. Whitehead Hancock was his baby.
Got to get that plug in.
I do. Yep. And I think that the family, that's just what they do. They just treated it, you know, you're part of the family.
Well, it's kind of like saying that, you know, you're a mom. You can't be a friend to your children. You have to be a mom. But you and your children have wonderful relationships. Yeah. So
I mean, they're my friends.
Exactly.
And I don't think that's the route for everybody. I think that the key for me is just treating them the way I would want to be treated.
And that makes you a good state rep too.
Thank you. It's just who I am. It's base level for me.
And that's the thing about it. It's not a ploy. It's really, truly.
And I've been successful at it, you know? I mean, and I enjoy it. I love helping people. I get to do that at the Capitol and at State Farm every day. And there was only a few times where I walked out of State Farm and I thought, I do not want to do this again. And one of them was the ice storm of 2003.
Oh, wow.
And at the time,
that was pretty early on in your career,
it was
too.
So early on in the career, but it was horrible because at that time, the way the claim process worked is we processed all the claims. And that phone all day long, you were telling people they weren't covered or that, you know, I mean, it was absolutely insane. And I walked out, I was like, I can't do this because the pressure was high. And it's like that right now, too, with the flooding and rate increases. I mean, you get beat up every day right now because it is hard. I mean, people are struggling out there. I mean, people are struggling to make ends meet. And when your insurance rates go up, I get it. I mean, I understand my rates have gone up. And I'm fortunate enough to not have to live that close paycheck to paycheck to have to worry about the 14% increase. But unfortunately, there's a lot of folks that are, especially our retirees in town. Right. I mean, they haven't had an increase in 14 years. And then their insurance rates are going up. Groceries are going up. So, you know, I've even helped people find other insurance elsewhere because I know that the bottom line is they need their dollars in, you know. And that's probably one of the hardest parts about my job is just knowing that there's certain people. I'm stuck with the rates that I have. So, but yeah, I think the key is just treating them with respect and I don't know. You could probably ask them. They're going to give you off the wall answers, but.
Maybe we're doing this wrong. Instead of bringing in business owners, we should bring in their staff.
Ooh.
Say, don't worry, Erika will never hear this. Now you can tell us the truth. No.
They would tell you the truth even if I'm listening. That might be the other key, brutal honesty.
That's awesome.
I mean, and I think that's the thing too with your team members or your staff or people you want to keep. One, you need to pay them a good wage. You need to pay them accordingly, but also you need to, if they have an issue and you're a little thin-skinned and you think that they shouldn't have an opinion, I don't think that's the way to run a business either. I think some of those times those people are on the front lines more than you are, and they probably see it more, have answers that, and just being open-minded to listen to people. That's why I say I'm not their boss. I mean, we're a team, because I truly believe that.
Well, especially with a small business, because, if there are 3 of you working in this office, if one of you goes rogue and is treating your clients, terribly and not responding to calls and all that, that's going to affect the whole business.
I had one.
Oh.
I won't name her.
Uh-oh.
She was awful. Yeah, she was horrific, and she was a thorn in my side. I will have to say, in all the years, I never had to fire anybody.
Okay.
I'm really good at passive-aggressive quitting.
No, I was just reading about this the other day. It's called silent firing.
Yeah, I'm really good at that. Yeah. It only happened one time, but she ended up quitting on her own because I called her out on it, right? So I had one girl years ago who just, bless her heart, she was a single mom. She lived in Owen County, and she just couldn't, she was just doing her very best. And it was at a time where I was still having to meet all those sales goals. So I didn't really have the option to be the way I am now, because it's my business. And I think that that's true about any business. There is a growth period that you have to really probably be a little bit tougher in the beginning. And I've told everybody this in my small business world. For whatever reason, 5 to 7 years, if you can stick it out for 5 to 7 years, and I don't know why, if it's just a renewal, if you finally got the processes in place, or you got some people that have been around, that's kind of when you start making money. And when I got my contract with State Farm, I actually owed State Farm money, and I cried for about a week thinking, what the hell have I done?
Wow. That's tough.
Yeah, because they supported you financially up to that first year with your staff and stuff, and then they cut you off and gave it to you. So, but I think that's, you gotta, you also have to delay the gratification, right? So if you have a small business and you expect to make money day one, then you probably shouldn't be in small business.
Right.
I mean, it takes 5 to 7 years of putting your profits back in the business before I really think it becomes a successful business. So
that's tough.
It is really very hard. And right now, I don't know how easy that would be. I mean, you can't do it on a single income. I mean, no. Jeff always laughs because when I finally started making money, I told him I think we probably needed separate checking accounts. He was like, no.
That's hilarious. Oh my gosh.
So normally at this point, I would ask, what advice would you give? But you've given an awful lot of advice. So is there anything else that you wish you had known 20 years ago when you were getting started that you figured out now?
Being your own boss is the best gig ever. I mean, it is. It's worth the tears. It's worth the frustration. It's worth the figuring it out. I think there's some business models that just don't work. I mean, I think that I was lucky enough to go to a company that had a business model that was I was set up to succeed with the State Farm name, but I did have to pay my dues to get into it. But as a small business owner, I think it is just such a really not empowering, satisfying career path is small business, because you are your own boss. I mean, look at you all in here. You get to be with your best friends all day. I mean, I can't imagine going to an office where you have to deal with that dynamic of you get to pick your team.
Right.
Where some folks don't get to pick their team. I watched my mom for her entire career. She was an administrative assistant for DHL Airways up in Northern Kentucky. And when she had a bad boss, it was awful. I mean, and I, even Rachel in my office had worked at a place that she just wasn't treated good. And I was like, that's base level for me. You just treat people and you get to pick your team. And I think that that's where small business it's definitely the most rewarding thing I've ever done. I don't know anything different, but
Yeah, that's awesome.
yeah, I've been very lucky, very, very lucky.
I mean, especially to have been able to start your own business at such a young age. I mean, a lot of people aren't doing that until they get older and they've had opportunities come along.
Everybody in my recruiting class, besides one of us, when I got in, were second, third careers.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Well, Erika, thank you very much. You've given folks a lot to think about. We will include contact information for you at State Farm, your Airbnb link, and if you'd like, we can also include your state rep's office if folks need to get in touch.
I'm here to serve, Leo, in any capacity, available.
And apparently, if you need some place to go on Thanksgiving, give Erika a call.
I was going to give my address out right then, but I thought that's probably not the best thing to do. Because I mean it. Yeah, show up.
Oh, my gosh.
Thank you very much. That's going to do it for this episode of the Sidewalk CEO. We'll be back next week with more engaging conversations, maybe not quite as funny as this one has been, and we'll try to keep the lights on. Yeah. Thanks for listening, and I'm Leo Haggerty from TCHQ Communications.
I'm Sherry Donahue from Commonwealth Sentinel Cybersecurity.
Have a good day.
Bye.
You have been listening to the Sidewalk CEO podcast with Sherry Donahue of Commonwealth Sentinel Cybersecurity and Leo Haggerty of TCHQ Communications. You can learn more about the Sidewalk CEO on the web at thesidewalkceo.com and on social media. The Sidewalk CEO is recorded in the studios of TCHQ Communications in Frankfort, Kentucky. Check us out next week for the next episode of the Sidewalk CEO.